Hey, what's going on, guys? Another Mike Talk podcast. And today, I want to talk about time is your most valuable asset. Time is your most valuable asset. This goes out to the youth, middle age, people like me. I'm 40. Sometimes you feel like you don't have enough time, but you actually do. You just have to put in the work and do it. And I actually had to catch up on some homework in school. That's why I've been out for a minute, but I'm back. Got to be more consistent this semester, even with the homework and stuff. I got to figure it out, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to make time. So, with that being said, I want to start off by saying I'm not a perfect person, never will claim to be, but my goal is to give back to a young person, a middle-aged person that's hearing this, and share some of my experiences and insights. And if I could go back and talk to that 17-year-old Mike, this is some of the stuff I would say to him. That's what a lot of this stuff is even made off of. If I can go back and talk to myself at 17, what would I say? I'm not gonna say this for everybody because everybody may not like it, but maybe it's for somebody that wants to hear it. So, with that being said, we have a podcast, Thinking Game Podcast, where we talk about topics that regular people deal with and how regular people think about stuff. Because I'm not a celebrity, I'm not famous, I'm just a regular guy from the inner city, just like most minorities are, I guess. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go right into it. And again, the topic of this is time is your valuable asset. It's a valuable asset, especially the younger you are, the more time you have in front of you versus as you get older, the times you got, it's kind of like you start getting more time behind you. So when the time is in front of you, that's when you need to take advantage, plan, make a strategy, and apply and get ahead. So when you turn 18, you have 12 years until you're 30. Think about that. 12 years until you're 30. It's a long time, guys. If you take advantage of at least 10 of those years and educate yourself in skill sets or some kind of secondary education, you will be further ahead by the time you reach your 30s. And what I mean by that is when I graduated high school, I just started working jobs. I didn't understand what a career meant, or it wasn't told to me where it made sense because I'm not the 4.0 valedictorian student. I probably was a C-level student. And I think in analogies and other ways instead of by the book, I guess. So, with that being said, I didn't have somebody to come sit me down and explain it to me, or on the other side of the fence, somebody who was doing it, maybe I just didn't really listen to him. I don't know. Probably a little bit of both. I just didn't listen to him. But if I could go back and talk to that 17-year-old, I would say, let's sit down and let's make a plan. And we're gonna get into that later on into this. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know of some things you would like to hear me talk about as a young person, a middle-aged person. Go to the channel on YouTube and subscribe. Thank all the viewers. I think I'm like 100 and something. I can't remember the exact number, but I appreciate everybody that's watching. More clothes review coming soon. French Crown, that will be coming soon. I need to order a couple of more suits from Alain Dupatit. That'll be coming soon. But definitely more content coming. Let me know in the comments if you like what you see so far. I appreciate the feedback. So, when you're talking about taking advantage of the time ahead of you, I'm thinking I would tell that 17-year-old the reason why you need to get the skills first is during those 12 years, you have to learn how to apply the skills to add value and attract money to you. What do I mean by that? The reason why you want to learn your skills as early as possible is when you learn the skill, it's kind of like building blocks. When you learn the skill, now you have to learn how to apply the skill. How do I use this skill? How do I hone this skill to where now I can go out in the job market or the career market actually and add value to the things that I possess. Here's the thing. The importance of learning new things. Learning new things expand your mind and it expands your skills. You should always be learning something new. And if not, what are you doing with your time? Think about that. What are you doing with your time if you're not learning something new? What I mean by that is sometimes a lot of things you can learn in life, some things are not taught in a book or not in book form. It's just through life and observation. But you gotta have the awareness and keen enough to learn that certain situations you can be watching and learning without asking questions, just watching and learning, just seeing how things go, seeing how outcomes and results come. You have to be able to learn from different things. You ever heard somebody say, man, I learned something new today? You should always think about that. Like, what did I learn new today? What did I learn new? You should always want to learn something new because you don't know everything, but you can learn a lot of things just by being aware, observing, and sometimes it's a secondary education. That goes into my next topic. The importance of education of some kind. There are many forms of secondary education. Many forms. You got a trade, vocation, electrician, construction, all kind of things that's in trades, right? Carpentry, learning how to frame houses. You got vocation, cutting hair, cosmetology, doing hair, doing nails, pedicures, manicures, stuff like that. Then you have certifications, whether it's in tech, whether it's in other kind of things, project management, um, what technical writing. It's so many different career tracks out there, and it actually pays more than the actual job. So being able to sit down, it's gonna go into my next section because most youth in our community do not have the exposure to many different career tracks. It is important to get them educated in something and not get caught doing nothing or being comfortable. So easy when you're young, when you graduate, to just work a job, go work at a retail store, big box store, and next thing you know, 5 years go by, but those 5 years didn't really go towards a career. It's just working at that retail place or job. And what I mean by that is most retail jobs or most jobs, they could take a person out and plug another person in and the business is still running. Versus when you have a career, it's hard to replace. It's a little bit harder to play somebody that has a specialized skill set than it is to just replace somebody working a retail job. This is something to think about. And let's go outside the box. I'll give you an outside the box analogy. You work at a retail store for 10 years, and you get no education, no certification. What value are you adding to yourself in that 10 years? Because most of the time, most retail jobs, you're doing the same thing over and over and over. And unless you get into management or store management, there's really not a lot of things to grow into. And if something happened and you was to leave that job, how fast do you think you'll rebound? You know, if you get laid off or you leave that job, something happen. Whether if you work in a career for 10 years, now you have 10 years of whatever field you're in. Let's say IT, right? You got 10 years of working in IT. You have a degree that's related to IT. And there are many things to grow into IT. You got help desk, you got systems administration, you got network administration, you got people that just work on SharePoint servers, certain servers they work on. You got people that do programming. You got people that do web development. You got people that do UI UX design. So many things you can do. Graphic design. That's more like kind of like IT and learning how to do using Adobe with making things like graphics and stuff. But still, that's a career. And you do 10 years doing that versus 10 years of working just at a big box store or something like that, you'll be surprised at how much value that you will add to yourself. Next topic, wasted time. Anytime you spend time doing something and not learning anything or get no production from it could be considered wasted time. Let me know in the comments what you think wasted time is. Everybody gonna do leisure things. I understand that. I'm not saying like you should every minute of the day you should be learning something, but don't make every minute of the day that you're not doing nothing though. That's what I'm saying. Even if you are looking at YouTube or social media, be learning something. Look at an educational video. Learn how to do something or build something instead of just watching, drama, just drama-filled crazy stuff all day. Look at something that teaches you how to do something. Look at something that teaches you how to use a computer. You'd be surprised just being able how to use a computer. You could get into a career that all you're doing is using a computer to do the job. You're not actually doing physical labor. But you got to know how to use a computer, though. When you graduate high school, it's so easy to not apply a strategy for your time. And the next thing you know, you're 30 and realize the median salary is not enough to pay bills and have enough left to do leisure things. What I mean by this, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but what can happen is you graduate, you start working a job. There are a percentage of guys, and I fall in that percentage myself. You start working, and then you start thinking about girls, chasing girls and stuff like that. And you put so much of an application or focus on that you take it from building your career and educating yourself. You educating yourself maybe on communication, maybe, but it's to talk to a woman. But what about communication in the corporate space? Learning how to master interviews, learning how to build networks with people, learning how to build those relationships. And while doing it, 5 or 10 years go by just like that. And next thing you know, you 30, and then you realize, 35,000. While people say a job is just a job, a lot of those people not being honest and understanding it's not enough to really be able to live life the way you would want to comfortably. You be giving up stuff to do stuff. Like instead of paying this bill, you want to go on a trip. So you're sacrificing a bill to go on a trip, and then when you come back, you're doing payment extensions, and you have to play so much catch up, and it's really hard when you're making that median salary versus if you would have invested 4 to 5 years at least when you graduated high school, just invested that time either like say working an apprenticeship, you can work at an apprenticeship and learn at the same time and get that journeyman license. And now those 4 or 5 years was applied to you getting a journeyman's license versus working at a big box store, and it's applied to just working at the big box store. But if you was to leave the big box store, you only thing you do is go to another big box store or a retail store. But you become a journeyman electrician, that's translatable anywhere. You can move anywhere in the country. You can. There's a lot of trade. A lot of people not even doing trades like they used to. So I bet it's a lot of demand working in trades. And guess what? If you want to work for yourself, you can work for a company first. Figure out how to run a business and how they run a business, and you can learn from that. That's that learning by looking and learning by observation, and then you're getting paid to work there, but also learn about the operations of how things go. So when you start a business, you're not so in the dark and learning on the fly. You got your information down. When you only make so much, you have to really think about things that you do and things that you can afford. There's a difference between being able to afford something and doing something that's not in the budget. That's a whole, if you want to hear talk about that, we can talk about that on the podcast. Let me know in the comments, or I can make something on the Mike Talk podcast talking about that. But being able to afford something or really going outside the budget is two different things. And if you don't get ahead and educate yourself and get those skills, you're going to find out, and it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. It hit me like a ton of bricks. But it's still not too late at 30 to go to school. But what I'm saying is, if you be efficient and get it done before you reach 30, your 30s will be more looking at opportunities coming your way, and you have the credentials, you have the skills, you got the communication, you got the mindset to be able to take on those opportunities versus you get there and they say, oh, you don't have a degree? Oh, well, we can't offer you this job. Don't give somebody a reason to eliminate you from the position. Have all the ducks in a row. That's all I'm saying. So, if I could go back and talk to Mike at 17, when I graduated high school, these are the things that I would aim for. I would get him to do. Probably would have been tough because my mind was pretty crazy at 17. I had a strong mindset. It was pretty crazy, but I think I could reach myself at 17. But who knows? But this is what I would do. I would do this now. I want to go around and talk to kids, and the first thing is to sit down and be still and go over career options and make a plan to achieve their goal. A lot of times when you're young, you move around so much. You either outside hanging out with your buddies, or you got a car, you're driving around, you going here, going there, to and fro. You never really sit down and think about the next 5 years, next 6 years. Like, let me know in the comments, how many people think about the next 5 or 6 years? What are you going to do the next 5 or 6 years? Like, how can I increase my value? What moves do I need to make? But that's what I would do. Sit down. Let's talk about different career options. The thing that I would tell a young man or a young woman, if you don't want to go to college right out of high school, look at a vocation. You can be a fireman. Great vocation. Take that test because it's a cutoff in age, I think, to be a fireman. But I didn't know about how to become a firefighter. It's really not that complicated, but you got to understand the process of becoming a firefighter. Definitely a good vocation to get into if you don't want to go to college, but you want to get in a solid career that you can grow in, and you can go to college, once you get solid inside of being a firefighter. Just a food for thought. A career is an occupation that can have opportunities to progress and grow in. That's what a career is. You have multiple lanes to grow in that. Just like I just said, being a firefighter, You can start off, being, I don't know the different stages, but you start off being a low-level fireman, but you can end up being an engineer. So many things to go into. Gives you those options. Plus, you can go to school and arm yourself with the education and stuff like that. A job is something to sustain you until you get a career stage in your life. What I mean by that is a job is kind of like a lily pad to jump off of until jumping into your career. Some people work at a retail store and they end up being a store manager. You know what I'm saying? Some people have a plan. Like they're not going to work here for, 15, 20 years unless it's beneficial for me to do so. Unless it's enough for me to cover my life, not live a lavish lifestyle. I'm saying you got to be rich, but enough to just live where you can pay your bills. And then if you want to go do something, go to Texas Roadhouse, you can afford to pay $50, for your family to go out to eat. That's what I'm saying. So just something to think about, food for thought. And with that, I'm going to close with this to my youth and my middle-aged people. If you haven't yet, sit down and make a plan to really think about how to navigate life and make a career make a career choice that will benefit you as you get older and set yourself up for success. Really sit down and think about that. Like, what am I good at? What do I like to do? What can I see myself doing day to day? Do I know anybody who does that already that I can ask about? What do you do day to day? Where can I get that exposure? Because like I said, I work in IT, but not many kids really ask me about working in IT, and they'll realize some kids would rather work at a retail store than work in an IT career. But I'm telling you, the work is not as strenuous as you think. All I gotta do is put in the work and learn. And some places, if you're willing to learn, they'll hire you and let you learn on the job. So, but definitely hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Mike Flair, on YouTube, Facebook. Thanks for watching on Facebook as well. Subscribe to our content channel, CTM TV, Corp Tech Media. And we're also about to get ready to make different kinds of content. My mission in that is to make a media channel. Let me know what you think in the comments about that. I would love to hear that. We're trying to get engagement, but I'm really leaning towards making things about the positive aspects of Little Rock. With so much drama, where's the positivity? And that's what I'm trying to bring, positivity. The more positivity that you surround yourself with, you'd be surprised on how creative that you become. And with that being said, this is Mike Flair, Mike Talk Podcast, and I'm signing out. Thank you for watching.